when Bitcoin breaks above 70,000 and continues to 100, 150, 200, I mean, I don't know if anyone actually thought about it, but 100,000 or 200,000 per Bitcoin is astronomical, right? It's crazy.
Today I interview crypto expert and broadcaster George of Cryptos R Us as we discuss the best crypto investing strategy today. We talk expectations for this upcoming Bitcoin halving, why he chose certain altcoins for his portfolio, also profit-taking strategies. But before all that, George, what are your general thoughts on Bitcoin today?
Well, you know me, I've been bullish for a long time, and I'm really glad that we're above 30,000 once again. I mean, to get people motivated when it was below 20, when we fell back down to 17, 16, 15, it's tough. But I think those of us that's been through a couple cycles, truly understand the landscape, know that things will get better. And I think things have gotten better. But I do think we got a couple surprises, not just from the 4-year cycle, but from all these big institutions like BlackRock that's bring in enthusiasm and optimism again. I think a few surprises for this year that probably drove Bitcoin a little bit higher than what I expected at this time. But you know what? We'll take it.
So Bitcoin's up near 100% since the bottoming after the FTX collapse. Am I too late for Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Oh, no, certainly not. Certainly not. I mean, just look at it from this perspective. We're nowhere close to previous highs. Bitcoin is still at least, you have to double to get back to previous high of 69,000. Ethereum has to at least double, more than double for both of these. And just look at the rest of the landscape. The alts outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have to go up 4, 5, 6, 10x just to get back to previous highs. So it's definitely not too late.
This is more of a fun question because nobody knows the future. But how do you see the rest of this year playing out? Do you think it'll be Bitcoin doesn't surpass all-time high till 12 months after it's halving? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think all-time high is out of question for this year, even with the entrance of BlackRock, Fidelity, all these big institutions. I think it's just too soon. The macro environment in the US, although is getting better, still not optimal. The macro conditions worldwide is still not optimal. We're all recovering at this stage and still battling inflation. But as for Bitcoin, I think if we do see any kind of sudden pop up, maybe quickly to 50,000, it would be similar to what happened back in 2018, 2019, when Bitcoin fell down to a low of 3,100 and then quickly popped up to 14,000. And unfortunately, then it started retracing back down. So I think if we see something like that, we may get a pullback. But for me, I think for the rest of this year, we're just going to start trending upwards or continue to trend upwards. I'm thinking by the end of the year, if we end at 40 or 45,000, that would be a really good place to be. And then we have about 4 to 5 months in 2024 before the halving event. And traditionally speaking, after the halving event is when we really start moving, right? So if we can just even get to 40, 45,000 by the end of the year, and then trend upwards to about 69,000 by April or May of 2024, we'll be in really good shape.
I look back in my career in crypto, or even just as an amateur before I was making content, and I realized I learned so much. Every cycle, I learned so much more. I feel I'm in a much better place. How will you be handling next bull cycle based on something you learned in this last one?
Oh, that's a good question. One of the things I've learned from the previous cycle was not having enough cash on the side hurts. Okay, so that's one of the things I've implemented this year, or this cycle, I should say. Make sure that I have enough cash reserves so that when we were going lower, I would able to DCA and continue holding or hodling. And I think this next cycle, I think it'll be more or less the same. I think it'll be very important to take profits when necessary. Okay, because when the market's blooming, no one really wants to take anything off the table. Everyone wants to let it ride and go to the moon. But I think more so now, as we as we approach these astronomical figures. I mean, when Bitcoin breaks above 70,000 and continues to 100, 150, 200, I mean, I don't know if anyone actually thought about it, but 100,000 or 200,000 per Bitcoin is astronomical, right? It's crazy. So I think more so this cycle, I will be paying attention to to I guess my cash reserves and making sure that I take profits when necessary, and also advise people that watch me to do the same, to not be too greedy, to still recognize that hey, we're in a cycle. There will be up and downs. There will be volatility. There still will be manipulation, right? So just make sure to have appropriate funds on hand in case any of those things happen.
I think that's dead on. That's such solid perspective. For me personally, I would just add on, and again, this is just for me, try not to let emotion get in the way. Because even, 4, 8, whatever years in, it's still like when Coinbase is IPOing, there's hype, there's mania. Damn, that feels like euphoric. But again, as Bitcoin's going up, that's when you take profits. As
Right.
Bitcoin's going down, maybe everybody's super scared. When FTX collapsed, not that day, but that week, those next 2 weeks, awesome time to buy in retrospect. And as Warren Buffett says, get greedy when other people are fearful. So
Yes.
I guess for you, what's your profit taking strategy as we get to that 100K?
You know what? This is this is a good question, and many people ask me this, and I've been, I guess, fine tuning this before. I think first and foremost, um, recover or recoup what you have put in, right? So doesn't matter if you put in $100, $1,000, $100,000 into something, right? Make sure you recoup that back, take that off the table, so then you're playing with house money. But even with the house money while it's going up, I've been thinking about the best way to do this. Before, I would say, well, everyone should set their schedule. Like, hey, if it goes up 20%, 50%, 100%, set a schedule to take a little bit off the table, right? And it's different for everyone. Some people want to be more conservative. Some people want to be more greedy and let things ride more. But I've I kind of fine tuned it, and I'm like, okay, don't worry so much about that, but look at how much cash I have. So one of the new, I guess, strategies I implemented for myself is to make sure that I have around 20, 25, 30% in cash of my total holdings. So a really easy way to judge this would be, hey, if Bitcoin and ETH and everything else is going up, and I start seeing that percentage drop in cash, well, that's clear indication I need to take some off the table and make sure I replenish the cash pile, right? And I feel like as long as I have that cash pile and that certain percentage locked in, I'm okay. I can let things ride, and when appropriate, take some off the table. And I think that's a really easy way to look at it. Of course, that's just me. For everyone else, it could be totally different, but I think that's a really easy way to judge when to take profits and when not to.
Regulation for the US and crypto, it's always been a factor, but it seems like this year it's at the forefront, especially with the US presidential election coming up. Um, which I don't want to say scared, but does that worry you at all when you're taking out any altcoin positions or anything that's not really Bitcoin or Ethereum? How much do you think about regulation?
I To me, I really don't focus on that, but I know I've spoken to many projects, US based projects. Unfortunately, they are worried. So as an investor, I think we do have to worry a little bit. Obviously, if something gets delisted from an exchange or gets sued by the SEC, it's going to cause some panic and some FUD, and um, that's unfortunate. But um, there are just a lot of great projects out there, and the key thing to remember is none of these projects are just located in one spot. Crypto is worldwide and being traded worldwide. There's many exchanges outside the jurisdiction of the SEC, right? Even though Gary pretends like he controls everything. So a lot of these projects that are faced with, let's say, a SEC lawsuit or being deemed as a security doesn't necessarily mean that it's true and doesn't mean that other countries care, right? So as an investor, I pay less attention to it, although I definitely focus on some of these declarations by the SEC or CFTC or any other jurisdiction. So I do pay attention to it. But, a lot of these L1s, these chains that I've come to believe and love, I'm going to continue holding them because I think they're great projects with great potential. So nothing changes from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks to be in the US with Gary kind of throwing his weight around and causing a whole lot of FUD. It sucks for the projects that are based in the US. And that's why so many are thinking about leaving this country.
It sucks for the US even more, in my opinion. But you're right. It's a speed bump, but it does not negate the overall trend of this world is only getting digital. Blockchain's only a tool to be utilized in that. George, this next question is directly from your audience. I know you're a man of the people. I know you have answers. Besides Bitcoin and Ethereum, what are your next one or two biggest holdings?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm going to have to bring up CMC right now and kind of look at it. I've always been a big fan of Binance, and BNB is definitely one of my bigger holdings. It's not just Binance itself. Binance, we know, has Binance Chain, and there's a lot of projects on top of Binance Chain. It's a very robust ecosystem, and I just don't think BNB is going to go anywhere. And not go anywhere, meaning it's not going to disappear or anything like that, even though a lot of people do like to spread FUD about CZ and Binance. But there's a reason why they're sitting number 4 on CMC with a much larger market cap than XRP, Cardano, Solana, Litecoin, and so forth. So BNB is definitely one that I do like a lot. Outside of BNB, I do like a lot of EVM compatible chains. For example, Polygon. I'm a big fan of Polygon. I mean, just look at the brands they're associated with. There's no there's really no other chain out there that has as many partnerships. We're talking about like the likes of Reddit and Starbucks and Nike, the NFL. They're all partnered up with Polygon, and I'm really bullish on Polygon as well. Another chain would be Avalanche. They are EVM compatible. They're building out their side chains. One of the projects that I used to talk about a lot, DeFi Kingdoms, is on top of Avalanche, and kind of just started. They kind of started a trend of moving to Avalanche, and nowadays there's a lot more that's on board. So yeah, those are a couple. And you know what? Sometimes I just want to be a little degen. So I like following meme coins as well. I don't, a lot of creators, a lot of influencers don't want to talk about memes. I do. I mean, I think they're fun, right? When time appropriate. I mean, look at what Pepe did this year, which is amazing, despite the fact we're not in a parabolic run right now, right? They kind of set off the trend, and you have others that have done very well. For example, on Cardano, SNEC. Who thought such a serious chain like Cardano would embrace a meme coin? But I've heard nothing but good things about what has done for Cardano, and there's many others out there. So
Give me one.
sometimes I like to degen into them as well.
Give me one other meme coin.
One other one, that's really well, obviously you have Sheeb, right? And Sheeb is not gonna go away. So I do hold a little bit of Sheeb. I do hold a little bit of Pepe, but there's a few other ones I don't want to mention because they're too small, and I don't want your audience to all of a sudden just like FOMO into them. So
I totally relate to that, dude. I also like to have a little degen fun and go into the meme coins, but I never want if they're so micro cap, I always want I just, I'm just scared for the audience. I don't want anybody FOMOing in, but it's cool to degen a little if you want to.
yeah, just bear in mind that it's for fun. It's a gamble, right? Some will make you, make a lot of money. Some won't. Some will just die off. So you just got to be careful.
George, thank you so much for sharing your time. Links for your Twitter, for your YouTube down below. Really encourage my audience to check it out. In our final 10 minutes, I know you're started to advise for early stage projects, so I want to just focus on that. But just final thoughts for the audience on Bitcoin on macro.
Yeah. So did you want? Wait. So are we talking about Bitcoin and
Just,
macro, or are we talking?
just yeah, just final thoughts. Just tie it in a bow. Maybe some positive words of affirmation or advice for all those hodlers.
Um, basically just know that if you're well, let me start over. With any kind of investments out there, you just have to have patience. It's really a matter of who has the most patience. It doesn't matter if it's real estate or stocks or crypto. Those who have held the longest traditionally have made the most money. It's really that simple. Now, most people don't truly understand that. They think holding, 6 months or maybe a year is a long time, but it's really not. We go through these cycles, and sometimes the cycles are very long. This last downtrend that we had in 2022 was the longest downtrend we ever had in crypto, in Bitcoin. So sometimes you just have to withstand it. But if you truly believe what you're holding, you truly believe in the environment and blockchain and Web3 and decentralization and self-custody, if you truly believe in and understand it, then there's really no reason for you to get out and invest in anything else. Now, the one caveat to that is if you invested more than what you could afford to lose, meaning that you bought crypto with a credit card or with a home mortgage loan or something like that, and you're just paying a ton of fees, that's a different story. If you need to sell, you need to sell. But for the rest of you guys that have side money and you have invested and you may be discouraged at this point, just know that this is normal, and many of us has been through times like this, and things will get better. So just have patience.